What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We got a lot of uncertainty in the market, a lot to talk about, a lot to look forward to next week. Let's get started. Make sure you guys smash the like button, subscribe. And honestly, man, we got a lot to cover, and I'm gonna give you guys some plays. And we just made a penny stock video if you guys want to check that out. A little bit risky, but honestly, man, not too bad. But with that being said, man, we're basically neutral for Friday. Not really looking too good, not really looking too bad. We had Tesla move a little bit, but not too much. Elon Musk is finally back, and we got trade trade uncertainty coming back to the markets. 50% on the steel tariff as well, and just a bunch of things to cover today. And let's get started and let's see where the markets are going to move us to. And let's make a lot of money. We can make a lot of money to the upside and to the downside. I made an option course. If you guys want to take your trading to the next level, risk a little bit more money, but also make a little bit more money. With this course, you can learn to become profitable with options and teach you option strategies and how to read charts and literally everything that you guys need to know about trading in general and options. Check it out. First link in the description. But let's start off with some news. So to start, man, Trump gave out some, I guess bad news on some car companies, especially since we've seen that tariff on Apple saying that if it's not made in the US, basically you get a 25% tariff. So Trump is kind of giving a little warning to say, basically saying that automakers, just like Tesla and other companies too, must build cars and their parts in the USA, because honestly, if not, they're going to get affected by a tariff. So keep car companies on your mind and on your radar. Tesla is honestly doing pretty good with this, but honestly, the parts are the one thing that honestly won't benefit too much. With that being said, though, man, there's a 25% tariff on imported vehicles and auto parts. So honestly, man, if you're not making it in the US, you're going to be paying that 25% tariff. But just like Apple, man, you might see the similar effect, basically saying that it's going to cost more to basically make these things in the US, and they could save a little bit of money not moving things and just eat that 25% tariff like Apple is. So keep that in mind. The fate of Google's search empire is now up to a judge. So it is a part of an antitrust trial, and honestly, is up to a judge if they can keep it or not. So Trump is getting named multiple things. And I'm kind of showing this article to kind of piggyback on something else that I want to cover, but he's getting multiple nicknames from investors. So basically, recently we seen the three lawyers basically try to shut down tariffs. We do got a pause, and now Trump is fighting it back. But with that being said, man, this could have been his way out because honestly, man, the minimum that he could do, like legally, I guess, is 10%. But people, I mean, online investment community and stuff like that started calling him a chicken and basically making Trump and the White House in general look weak compared to judges because they can't really exercise what they've been given to say. So now he is fighting back and honestly fighting back big and with high confidence of winning. So keep that in mind in general because this was a way out, people are saying, but at the same time, Trump isn't going to go down like this. And honestly, now he's fighting it. And honestly, there's a lot of uncertainty. We got China and the US trade talks stalled because of this. Maybe not because of this, but just in general. And other countries are having trade talks not related to the US. And some people are even agreeing not to make trade deals with the US. So keep this in mind because this could bring trade uncertainty back up. And honestly, we haven't even seen the numbers yet for other tariffs, like how much it's affecting. We are seeing it a little bit with, staple stocks and stuff like that, like Walmart upping their prices. So other companies might start upping their prices too. Donald Trump's personally trying to fight this, saying that consumer doesn't have to pay for tariffs. But in reality, if they got to pay more, they're going to make other people pay more. And they have the right to do it basically, but not really good on the consumer in general. But now we have steel. Basically, we had a tariff of 25%, but he upped it yesterday. And honestly, it was a surprise to a lot of people to 50%. So keep this in mind because steel is going to cost a little bit more to import, but he's basically just trying to keep it in the US to say. So look at US steel and aluminum stocks going up, and foreign companies that, a lot of their revenue comes from the USA. Look at those companies going to the downside. Just want to take out some time and ask you guys to subscribe. Let's get the 500 subs, guys. But in general, man, we kind of were up and down this week. We did have a breakout and honestly another sell with the NVIDIA earnings and the potential of tariff cancellation. But now, we got that 14-day pause, and honestly, they're going to take it to the courts and we might still have tariffs. in the meantime, and that can bring markets down even more. We did pretty good, but indeed on Friday, we did go down, break down even more. So for next week, depending on news, especially weekend news, I do recommend staying intact with the news that comes out in general. I'm gonna try to make a video tomorrow too, talking about any additional news that came out throughout the week. But honestly, man, we can either fill a gap up and or a gap down. So a gap up, we could see maybe the 590 break above the 590 once again, and then go up to like 591, and then that 595 level. And honestly, another gap fill, maybe up to the 600 once again, retest it. We didn't really test it too much. We almost got up to it, but then had an instant sell off instantly. But that's one gap we could fill upwards. And to the downside, we could see if we stay below that 590 level, we could see 585, and then all the way down to that 580 level to the downside for the overall spot. Keep that in mind if you are trading SPY overall. But with that being said, let me give you guys an overall outlook of what happened yesterday and over the weekend so far. So US stock market performance, Wall Street closed higher, driven by gains in real estate and energy stocks. The S&P 500 rose by 0.40%, NASDAQ by almost 0.40%, and the Russell 2000 by 0.34%. Trump tariff developments, a U.S. federal appeals court temporarily suspends a ruling that blocked President Trump's tariffs, creating uncertainty and influencing stock sentiment. Trade tensions with China, President Trump accused China of violating a trade agreement, adding volatility to the markets. NVIDIA's upbeat forecast, NVIDIA provided a positive revenue forecast, boosting U.S. futures after hours. NVIDIA shares rising 5% after hours trading. But if we go look at NVIDIA, we did indeed start selling off a big amount on Friday. I personally had some overnight puts, and I think I bought it all the way up to this line right here, which honestly printed big yesterday. And honestly, I think I sold a little early. I think I sold at around this range, I think, once it started going back up, and I was like, I'm gonna get out right there. But honestly, could have made way more money yesterday, but didn't really want to, I said I know about risk. Sometimes it comes back down, it comes back up, but we started selling off even more with Nvidia in general. So we did lose all of the earnings. So a 10-year treasury yield dropped 5 basis points to 4.43%, reflecting market reactions to trade and economic developments. Economic data, so the US GDP decreased at an annual rate of 0.2% in Q1 2025, signaling economic slowdown concerns. And honestly, man, dollar index dropped by 0.64% to 99.24. So the dollar is looking way, way weaker and honestly kind of insane. So what happened last night? So mixed US market closed. So the S&P 500 ended nearly flat at negative 0.01%. NASDAQ fell 0.32%, and the Russell 2000 dropped 0.46%, indicating cautious trading after a volatile day. We had a lot of volatility, but we did have its best May since 1990 for the S&P 500, getting over 6%. We did have a meeting yesterday with Donald Trump and Elon Musk, basically his exiting meeting, and honestly, it went decent, but honestly, not too decent at the same time. Not really too much was said. But let's get to some supports and resistance for key stocks. So we already did the SPY. Let's look at Apple first. So Apple, understand that the tariffs are already affected, and I think we're already priced in for that 25% tariff. And honestly, they're not moving to the US as of right now, but it's going to cost them way more money, make iPhones way more expensive. And honestly, the 25% tariff is probably the best deal that they can get, unless they can get a pause and or maybe that 10% minimum, which will be a little bit better. With that being said, I think that 200 level to like the 202 to 203 is going to be normal for Apple, and maybe breaking below that 200 for a while. So to the upside, look at that 201.5, 202, 203.5, and then 205, and then 210 after that. To the downside, look at 200, breaking below that, 199.5, all the way down to 198.5, and then 195, and then 190 to the downside for Apple. NVIDIA honestly is looking pretty bad right now, but we are kind of at a normal range that we were at a few days ago, and we still have this gap down here, the 130 to the 132 to even the 135 level to kind of be bouncing around, especially right now how everything is moving. But we can even break below this. So if you do see it break below that 130, look at 128.5 and then 125 and that 120 level for NVIDIA. To the upside, man, that 135, if we stay above that 135 and then 137.5 and that 140 level for NVIDIA, 145, 150 after that. If we do start breaking up more, Palantir, we did get some good news with Palantir. We've seen it break up, and honestly, we broke up, sold down a bunch, and then broke up again. So Palantir is moving kind of up and down, but 130 is a key level to watch. If we can break above that, look at 135 and 140. We break below this, honestly, we could fall down a lot as we seen on Friday. But honestly, some levels to watch is 129.5, 127.5, and then all the way down to that 125 level. And then below that, look at that 122 to that 120 level. Before previously, last week, a good amount of time of the week, we were bouncing between that 127.5 and that 120 level. So that's what you want to watch. Maybe it can come back down to these levels. So you can probably play a put option, but honestly, we got some decent news with Palantir. So honestly, keep that in mind. Basically just expanded their contracts with the government. So honestly, I think yesterday's video, I announced that Palantir needs a decent deal to either move up or down. Basically just said that we needed news for Palantir to move up or down, and we finally broke to the upside. So honestly, man, you can see it continuing to the upside, but if we don't show as much momentum and or hype anymore for Palantir, we can see it come back down to the downside. Tesla, man, Tesla is falling down a decent amount. Both Elon Musk back, we can see more announcements, more posts on X, stuff like that really can move Tesla stock overall. So honestly, just move based on the news and what Elon Musk himself posts about, because he is going to be posting about a lot of things. So honestly, to the upside, look at that 350, break above that 355, 360, 65, and 70. To the downside, look at 340, 335, and 330 to the downside. And then we might break down even more. But honestly, right now, we got some great certainty with Tesla stock overall, especially with Elon Musk being back and actually managing the company full time. But honestly, just have your patience. Bitcoin, man, we broke below key levels and we are breaking down even more. So watch that 100K level for next week. If we break below that, we can break down lower, and or we might make a bounce off of, the 102, 101.5, and or the 100, and then maybe bounce back up, show a rally. Bitcoin isn't looking too bad, but we are losing. A lot of people are taking profits. And honestly, man, just have your patience with Bitcoin in general. You guys can trade stocks like MSTR and Coinbase and also IBIT. So honestly, just check these ones out. I recommend IBIT just because the contracts are very cheap. You're not risking too much money compared to MSTR or Coinbase. So honestly, man, overall, man, the market isn't looking too bad, but we are looking like we're going back to the downside. So honestly, just have your patience next week, watch news and watch the daily videos. Smash the like button, subscribe if you guys are new. Let's get to 500 subs. Peace out.